welcome to the podcast, Can You Take My Shift? Your favorite coworkers are off the clock and back for another episode.
One day I had to pee very bad, coming home from the bar, and when I got to my front door, my bladder said, "We pee now." I peed my pants. I peed my pants. Yes, I peed my pants on my front doorstep. If this is a lot, if this is TMI, you gotta ask. Girl, why did you tell that fucking story? And hi, and welcome back to the podcast. It is 2023, our first podcast of the year. And was that story true? 100%. To be honest, we have all drunkenly, probably at one time, peed our pants.
Yes. Even if it was just a little.
Exactly. Even if it was just a little. No, so that story is 100% TMI. And I have told that story to people, so I'm not embarrassed. I was very drunk. Took 3 buses to get home. It took so long. I didn't want to pee on the street. But when I got to my front doorstep, my body was like, "Oh, you're home. We're done holding."
Yep, we gave up.
Yeah. And that story is TMI. So why am I telling this? You know, when people tell you things and you're like, I could have gone my whole life without knowing that about you. That's what this episode of the podcast is today.
That's how we're kicking off the new year.
Exactly. But Amy, before we get into the TMIs I've been told and I have heard, and oh boy, have we heard a few ones from our boy Harry we're gonna get into.
Absolutely.
How was your holidays? Let the friends know what you got up to.
Oh, it was really good. I was visiting my partner in California, so I spent Christmas with them. It was really nice. No snow. It was great.
Lucky.
Yes, I thankfully, for anybody who had to travel over Christmas, my thoughts and prayers. I mean, in Christmas, it's obviously past, but thoughts and prayers went out to you because, oh boy, was it a mess. The day before I had to fly out, Vancouver International canceled every single flight leaving because of a massive snowstorm we had. And I got so scared that I wasn't going to be able to get out. So I got to the airport, got there on time. It didn't say my flight was delayed at all. And I was like, okay, I guess this is looking good. Like, no news is good news. And then somebody comes to the gate and is like, oh, flight's going to be about like 20 minutes delayed. Like, the crew is running late from a different plane. And I was like, I'll take 20 minutes. I'll take 20 minutes. Like, there was flights around me that were leaving. I was like, all right, 20 minutes ain't that bad. We get on the plane and they tell us, all right, we just have to go wait in a line to de-ice. So for anyone who doesn't know, when you fly, it's very cold in the winter, they have to put de-icing fluid all over your plane so you don't freeze. And it can take up to like an extra 30 minutes most of the time. So the flight was going to be delayed about like an hour. Okay. We're still leaving. We're still getting out. This is fine. Well, Vancouver Airport had 4 de-icing trucks, and they all ran out at the same time. So then they had to go get them filled, which I swear to God, they drove them to a different fucking city to get them filled because it took another 2 hours for them to fill up these de-icing machines. And then it took... because there was 4 planes ahead of us, so those 4 planes had to be de-iced, and then we got to go, and that took another hour, so the flight was delayed over 4 hours, so I left when I was supposed to land.
Eesh.
and all I got was a granola bar and a glass of water while I was waiting. So, thanks, Air Canada.
Yeah.
But other
Yeah,
than that, it
no,
was fine. It was
I
great.
remember you texted me. I'm still waiting for them to de-ice a plane, and I'm gonna show my stupidity here. I didn't understand what de-icing a plane meant, and I was having dinner with Trevor's grandparents, and I go to him. Can someone please tell me what that means? Because I thought de-icing a plane was like you taking the ice off your windshield.
Oh.
So I thought they were scraping the plane.
I was just sitting there with a tiny little scraper, and
Well,
that's
not
why
I.
it took 4 hours.
Okay, I meant like having a big scraper. Okay, I didn't assume they were just using like. Oh yeah, I'm using my IKEA card to scrape the ice off the plane.
Yeah, it was a time. I texted my dad, because he's a retired aircraft mechanic, and that used to be something he did. And so I was like, oh, only a 4-hour delay, and then we could leave. Very thankful to like get out, talk to you when I get home. And he went, I guess 4 hours beats a canceled flight, like all those poor travelers you left behind. It's like, Dad, it's the holidays.
Also, Dad, it's not your fault.
Yeah. But he used to be the person who would have to be like, well, I can't go out. So like, he knows all too well about having to unfortunately ruin someone's holiday.
Yeah.
But long story short, we left 4 hours late. I got to spend a lovely 3 weeks sunny California until the last day where there was a huge storm. So the sky was crying that I was leaving, which I felt that. But how was your Christmas?
Mine was busy. I went to visit my family on the island. We had a big Christmas dinner. The best part of my Christmas, though, is my sister got my dad a Nerf gun for Halloween. No, not Halloween, Christmas.
Spooky.
My sister got my dad a Nerf gun for Christmas. So we went to Canadian Tire the next day. And he was picking up something else, and we saw that Nerf guns were all like 50% off. So I said to my mother, my sister, and Trevor, everybody pick out a Nerf gun. We're having a battle royale. And my mom was like really? Can we? I was like, Mom, it's your house. Like, of course we can. It's your house. So we got home, and oh my god, it was like some of the most fun I've ever had.
Nerf
Like
guns are fun.
Oh my god, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
We were all like laughing and screaming and like sweating. Oh my god, we were all dripping with sweat because we were all running over the house. And like my sister was like doing like the commando crawl on the ground. And I was like, because my parents' house is a circle.
Yeah.
So I was like running, just like running around the circle and like behind the corners. It was great. It was a great time. But yeah, Trevor and I afterwards were like dripping with sweat. And we're like, we got a shower.
We're done. We need to go clean up.
Yeah. Oh, and it was funny. My mom, she texted me that one of us, I guess, she has on her Christmas tree, she has these wire like balls, like ornament balls. She found one with like a Nerf like gun thing in it. And she's like, I don't know who managed this.
Honestly, that's impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good, but then it was a lot of traveling. Since my family has quadrupled in size, it was a lot of seeing people, and it was really nice, but I felt like I didn't relax at all.
You never relax over the holidays.
No.
No, that's an illusion. You never relax over the holidays.
Exactly. There is everyone's like, "Oh, do you have a relax relaxing holiday?" I was like, "No." I had one day where I got to kind to just chill. I had one day where I got to talk to nobody and just chill out and play The Sims,
Mm-hmm.
and it was great. And I was like, I wish I just could have had a couple more of these days. But it's good to see my family. But I
Relaxing
need
is
to
also
stop.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, I get that.
But yeah, it was a really really good holidays. But I'm back at work now. Sadly, didn't want to be back at work, but
Do any of us? I
no.
felt the first week back to work after the holiday was a complete write off. Like everyone at
Mhm,
work was just like, okay, yeah, we'll get back to it next week, because it was
mhm.
also like a short holiday or a short week because the Monday was an observed holiday, so we only had a 4-day work week. At least I did, and
Mhm.
everyone was just kind of like, oh yeah, like we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
See, mine was the opposite. The first week back, it was this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. And then I got told, hey, we're adding a bunch of more work onto your plate because we had a person who worked in our accounting department. And I don't know if he quit or if he got fired.
Oh
All I know
no.
is when he first started, he was super nice, super sweet, super lovely. And then one day, it's like a switch flipped and he turned into a giant rat bastard asshole.
Oh.
And like he would,
Something bite him?
I don't know if he was getting like a divorce or like somebody died or whatever happened in his fucking life to turn him into a nasty human being. Because like he wouldn't like I don't know, it was so weird. It was like completely flipped. I was like, "Did your evil twin come to work?"
Mhm.
And he just like stopped doing his job too. So I kind of think he got fired, but I don't know for sure.
Mm.
Um, so they were like, okay, we're gonna split his job and split it up into three and give it to three people. So our accounting manager is gonna take a part. The like good old Mary who works part time, just throw more on her plate, even though she's close to retirement. And hey, Kelsey's organized; she can just do the rest. And
Yeah.
then I had to go into this guy's office where he's just has backlogs of files and stuff that just I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what he was doing for the last 6 months because
Probably nothing.
nothing had been touched since August, and I was like, I it like, I started going through it, and I've gone through so many, and, like, I feel like when you just see all of so many things in front of you and, like, you do so much and you're like, "It looks like I haven't even made a dent."
Yeah.
And then you look back and you can see all of, like, it just I'm used to kinda, like, getting my stuff done at work, and just, like, taking my time, and now I'm just like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah," and everyone's like, "Can you help me?" And I was like, "No, no, I can't help you anymore. I can't be nice, helpful Kelsey anymore because I have a mountain of work on my plate."
Oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah. And then the other thing happened. So I was annoyed about this mountain of work I got. So I got a headhunting email, and sometimes I ignore them, but I was kind of salty with the amount of work that just got dumped on my plate. And when I asked for a raise, I was told we'll see. Uh,
I feel like that's the mood in a lot of companies right now. Like, I didn't ask for a raise, but I was told that like it's probably something that's not gonna happen for a while, and I was like, okay, whatever, that's fine. It's
mhm.
just kind of how things are going. But yes.
Well, you should get a raise due to inflation. If you don't get any sort of raise, then you just took a pay cut.
It's just the conversation hasn't come yet because of
Yeah,
everything going on.
exactly. But so I was like, okay, I will take this headhunting email. And then I get this, and then the recruiter goes, "Oh, can you go for an interview today?" And I'm like, "No, I was getting my eyebrows waxed, and I'm not going to cancel on Christy.
I have more important things to do, thank you.
Yes, I'm going to get my eyebrows waxed. I'm going to see my good friend Christy. I'm not going to come in for an interview." So I was like, "Okay, well, I'm free tomorrow on my lunch break." So I go to this interview, and it was one of the worst interviews of my life, not because I did anything wrong. So the guy sits down and he apologizes that he's not wearing a suit because he has to tell me this whole story about how things were going wrong at the airport and he woke up late and he had to drive his daughter to the airport. And I was like, dude, I don't give a shit that you're wearing a sweater and literally he was wearing a sweater and jeans. And then the other guy was in a suit. And I was like, okay. And then they give me this interview, but it was like they just talked at me for
Oh,
20 minutes. They barely asked me any questions. They told me all about their workplace. But it was like but they kept going, "It's really fast paced. We're just really fast paced." And I was like, "Oh god." And the few questions they'd asked me, I'd start to like talk about my answer, and then he'd cut me off and keep going. And I was like, "Well, this is not enjoyable." And while the
yeah,
one guy was talking nonstop, the other guy was glaring at me like he was offended I was there. And I was like, "What the hell is this?"
that's weird. That's
Yeah.
really weird.
And then so at the end of every interview, they ask you, "Do you have any questions for us?" And I always have questions
Yeah,
because if you say no, that's you're not supposed to. You're supposed to ask questions. And he goes, "Do you have any questions?" Anyways, like I'll walk you out. And I was like, I have maybe said like two or three sentences this entire interview. I was
They were
like,
they were
what
just like literally having a conversation. Were they interviewing each other? Was that what this actually was? Like
No, he was just telling me all about the company and then like didn't so I left the interview and I felt so weird and I called my dad because I was like, I need to talk to someone. And you were flying home. Trevor was asleep. I was like, everybody else is working, but not dad. Dad semi-retired. He can answer the phone. So I call my dad and I like tell him all about it. And he's like, well, what does your gut say? And my gut says, I was like, something's off. The vibe, like
they did
I
not
checked.
pass.
No, they did not check the vibe check at all. They told me weirdly too many things.
They
They
were too
talked
TMI.
Yeah, they were like the only good thing about that office was they had an office dog.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah, it was a really cute little orange puppy. But
Mm.
anyways, you can't. I'm sorry, as much as I love dogs, like I've never met a dog I don't want to pet. That would not make up for it. So I was like, you know what, this just doesn't feel right. So the recruiter then emailed me saying, "What did you think of the interview?" And I didn't bother to email her back because I was like, I was annoyed, I was tired, I wanted to go home.
Yeah.
Then I get an email from the recruiter today. They've decided to go with another candidate. And I was like, cool. So, like, didn't want the job, number one. But, like, you wasted my time.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a good learning interview.
No, because at least, when you have interviews, you can learn something from it. Or, I can practice my interviewing skills.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then the recruiter's like, well, I can send you forward for this company. And she sends me to this company. And, like, the reviews are so bad on Google. And I was like, why? Why on earth would you think that I would want you to send them my resume? No.
Mhm.
I'm gonna block them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my that's my week. The only
Jeez.
thing that's getting me through this is like I've been watching a lot of TikToks because I've been posting more TikToks and I've been watching a lot of TikToks, which brings us to the TMI. Now, some people on TikTok have gotten real comfortable.
Mhm.
I mean, me included. I did post on TikTok that I got a bidet and it is life-changing.
You didn't post yourself using the bidet.
No, I did not post myself
No.
using the
Saying
bidet.
you got a bidet is fine. I don't see a singular issue with that.
Yeah.
It would be different if you were like, okay, let's test it out. And then you just sat there and just like, whenever the water hit you, like, ooh, all right,
Whoop.
yeah, that felt good. Like, also, that reminds me, I need to go use your toilet so I can use a bidet for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
I need to still try one. I've never tried a bidet because they scare the shit out of me, literally.
Okay, but the
So,
first time you use a bidet, it's like, oh, it's like very shocking. But then you just get used to it. And then when you have to poop somewhere else that you don't have a bidet, you miss it. Is that TMI?
you know what? I think it's fine.
Yeah. So the thing with with TMI for those who don't know too much information, I'm sure everybody knows. Um there's a difference between like for example, Amy and I are best friends. I can tell Amy some things that is like way TMI.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes against my will, but it's okay. It's getting ammo for
Oh yeah.
later.
But there's things that like you tell your best friend. You don't need to tell the internet. You don't need to tell your coworkers. No.
Don't need to tell complete strangers,
Exactly. You don't need to put it in a book. I mean, unless you want some like juicy book sales.
which someone does.
So, Amy, who wants some juicy book sales?
So we were trying to think of a topic to talk about, and like Kelsey, I've been scrolling through TikTok a lot. And a lot of it right now, well, for a long time, it was a lot of people being like, oh, the best things I bought in 2022. And honestly,
Ugh. Yeah.
okay, I loved those. I was like, tell me what you bought. Tell me what you bought. Not that I'm going to buy any of these things. I'm just curious. I just want to know. Because also, they were always just set to like nice music. And I could just like scroll through. And I'm like, this is kind of nice. Very mind numbing. But I also just finished watching the newest season of The Crown. which for those who don't know, it's I don't want to say it's a documentary because it is not. It's like how would you describe the show?
Um,
Because it's about the royal family and it's about their life, but it's like, I guess it's like historical piece. I guess you could say that because like
it's like it's a fictional docu-series is what
yeah,
it is.
because like they talk about the royal family, like they talked
Mhm.
about how Queen Elizabeth rose to power, and this last season was focused around Princess Diana and now King Charles, like marriage falling apart. When I want to preface, I don't love the royal family. I love the drama around them. It is so fascinating to me.
Mhm.
I don't think the royal family is necessary at all, but it makes for good entertainment.
But that is what entertainment is. A lot of it's
Yeah,
not necessary.
no,
Love is Blind is not absolute. Love Island
yes.
is not necessary, but it's very
Yeah,
entertaining.
like how people love the Kardashians, like love to hate. I love to hate the royal family. It's just so intriguing. But it recently there has been like a TikTok soundbite going around, and I am not going to repeat it because it's a little vulgar, and we'll get into it in a moment. But it is a soundbite from Prince Harry's new book called Spare, and it's a documentary or not a biography book about his life growing up in the royal family, where he is now. And a lot of people on TikTok are just being like, Harry, we don't need to know that you're circumcised, okay? Some things can be left to the imagination. It's okay. Because, man, some of the excerpts, which we will get to, which got us to talking about like TMI, and we have our own like we have like a couple we have a couple of stories from work where people shared too much information with us. But a lot of the people are saying like in Harry's new book he violates his own privacy as he tells us too much about himself, his wives, and others. And
Yeah,
a lot of people are just saying like, dude, you really did not need to share all this. So
like there's so I read last year I read Jeanette McCurdy's biography.
mhm.
I'm glad my mom died. Fantastic book, fantastic biography. It's probably the best biography I've ever read. She talks about like some of the abuse she faced in childhood, but like she talked about it like in her past in a way that was about stuff that the way she described it was not TMI.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's mm,
Like she talks about her mother like bathing her till she was like 16 years old.
yeah.
But she doesn't but like there's a very much a difference than like saying like I don't know. I can't repeat. I can't
I
repeat
can
it.
get into some of them. Yeah, so Harry, a lot of people are just saying like it honestly offers more. A lot of people are saying like something that remains clear in his book is Harry's commitment to a frank portrait of his early years in adulthood that offers more TMI moments than bombshell revelations. Because
Mhm.
people were hoping we get some like royal family dirt. Because
Yeah.
that's all we want. We want the secrets because the royal family is so secretive. That's
Mhm.
like their whole shtick. And that's why, like, when watching The Crown, we know obviously a lot of it is all scripted, but a lot of it also did happen in real life. Like
It's like
they
any movie that's based on a true story. You don't know how based it is.
exactly like they in The Crown there this season they did the elusive tampon call between Charles and Camilla. And for those of you who don't know, there was a call recorded between Charles and Camilla, his mistress at the time, his now wife. Ugh. Nothing against everything is talking about Camilla as like she's like not pretty and stuff. That's not fair, but she is not a good person. They're
Mhm.
both of them are not good people. Um, but it's a conversation where essentially Charles says that he wants to be a tampon so he can be inside Camilla. And it was so gross. And the thing is, they were like in their 30s, if not 40s, when they were having this conversation. I could let it go
that
if
makes
they
my
were.
skin crawl.
Yeah, that's an ick. I could let it go if they were like in their 20s. Sure, we all say stupid things in our 20s. That's fine. You were a grown ass adult who was gonna be king one day.
Yeah.
And now you are king. And all I can think about is the fact that you said you wanted to be a tampon.
Yeah, like I don't know if he thought that was sexy or maybe that was funny. Like I've joked to Trevor, like, oh, I love you so much. I just want to cut you open and crawl inside your skin.
Yeah.
But that's a joke.
Yeah, that's a joke. Like,
Yeah.
my loving partner likes to lick my teeth, and it's a little weird.
Ugh.
That TMI? Yes, probably.
Yeah,
I have
that
now
is.
said it.
Yeah.
It's okay. It is what it is.
Yeah. Like we all do weird things with our partners, but that's too far. Like sometimes I'll just like me massaging his neck and then I'll pretend to like break it.
Yeah, be like, what
Like,
if I just went...
Finish, and then I always go finish him.
That's fine. It's playful. It's cheeky.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
It's not.
But
That would be like me going to Trevor. God, I wish I was the bidet water.
gross. Gross. No one needs that. No one needs that. Nah, no. But in Harry's books, he says some things that I'm like, dude, you're rivaling your father now at this point.
Yeah.
We'll start off slow. One of the first things he talks about is how he experimented with drugs as a teenager. Okay, sure, we all did.
Yeah.
You ain't special.
Mm-hmm.
He says he lost his virginity at 17 in a field behind a pub to an older woman. I will say what he said after this is pretty crazy. He said she liked horses quite a lot and treated me not unlike a young stallion.
What?
Harry.
Is Harry into horseplay?
Harry, your grandmother would be rolling in her grave.
Nah. Lizzie's partying it up in hell.
Yeah, this is true. Harry claims a quick ride, after which she smacked my rump and sent me to grace. Sir, this is public information that you are sharing.
Okay.
There is a bad photo of Harry back in 2005. 2005.
2005? Oh my.
Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
It's almost as bad as I dress gay.
It's up there. But he says he blames William and Kate for dressing like a Nazi, which, I don't agree with.
Wait, what? He dressed up like a Nazi?
Yeah, for Halloween. So, that's on you for doing that. That's on no one else but you.
Mm-hmm.
Harry has said he also feels at home in Africa. His former girlfriend observed that he is spiritually connected to the continent. Which is some white nonsense.
The thing is, like, Harry, everybody was on your side. You could have just stayed quiet.
It's kind of crazy because watching this season of The Crown, there was like a big documentary and a big expose on like a book that Diana wrote about her life, and then the BBC, was it the BBC? I think so. The BBC like premiered, and it was like a documentary about her life, and she was hoping that would help her gain more public sympathy. Which I feel like Harry was hoping that this book would do. So he's kind of pulling his mom, because her interviews and books didn't do that. Mm-hmm. It actually kind of made things a little bit worse from what I garnered from the show. I could be a little bit wrong, but that was my takeaway from how they framed it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, back to cut to Harry. He says magnesium gave him bowel issues at a mate's wedding. I don't know why he needed to share that.
Yeah, we don't need to know that.
Yeah.
That's nothing groundbreaking. Like, we all get the poops once in a while, bud.
Yeah. Like, everybody poops. You ain't special because you're a
Exactly.
royal.
Yeah, that's not that interesting.
No. He did say some stuff about his brother, Prince William. Apparently William told him not to propose to Meghan. He also called his brother his arch nemesis.
Well, I mean, William kind of looks like a supervillain now.
Yeah. Yeah. Harry, he also said that Harry correlates his brother's fading hairline to a fading resemblance to Diana. Which, okay.
But, like, Harry's losing his hair, too.
He is,
like,
because he's not minding his business.
Exactly. Like, white men expire after 25.
Yeah. Yeah, Harry writes before later calling William's hair loss alarming and more advanced than his own, despite their 2-year age gap. Y'all know how genetics work, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get your mother's father's hair. So, I think that's how it works.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because my brothers all have a full head of hair, and all my cousins have a full head of hair because my grandpa had nice hair, but my uncle has the little baseball diamond, as I lovingly call it, because my grandma's dad had that. But that's how genetic. Don't quote me on that. I didn't do great in biology. I'm pretty sure. There's some dumb things, like apparently Kate did not want her gloss on Meghan's raw lips one time when she asked if she could borrow a lip gloss. I'm like, oh my god, are we in high school?
Yeah.
One big thing I will say is Harry claimed that his dad had been calling him a spare child since birth. Because there's like a quote from Charles saying, now you've given me an heir and a spare. Really shitty thing to say about kids.
Very shitty. Like, we know most parents have a favorite child, but you're not supposed to say it.
Yeah. At one point, Harry thought that his mother faked her own death.
I mean, we all did. So, like, it's kind of nice to know that he felt that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad we feel that.
Yeah.
And then there are just like a couple other little ones being like, he said that his stepmom Camilla took his old room. I'm like, damn, he like pulled a real evil stepmom and like Cinderella and was like, no, this room's mine now. But like, oh.
I don't know. It's very like, I mean, everybody has trauma, especially like you don't choose to be born into the royal family.
No,
like,
absolutely not.
So yes, like he was raised with extreme privilege, but extreme rules, and like you also come from like a family of incest. Like your ancestors are hella incestuous. Like your grandparents are cousins.
Yeah, like it's a messy part of the royal family, and that's one thing I like about The Crown, that it like shows how much of like an issue that like Queen Elizabeth like had with her own kids, because like this whole season was about how like the royal family like was literally falling apart all around the same time. Like every single one of her kids was getting a divorce. I think her daughter, like Princess Anne, wanted to get remarried, but the queen was like no. She did it anyway. I also really like that they make Andrew look like the worst person ever, because he is.
Yeah, he's a pedophile.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get into that more. Prince Andrew just fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But last but not least, the famous TikTok soundbite that's been going around right now was the fact that on this article, literally there's a section saying, on his penis. And look, as somebody who has read many of fantasy novels, where they constantly talk about male parts And I'm not interested in that stuff like at all. Like, dude, this is a biography. We really don't need to know about yours. But for some reason, he decided to talk about how his penis was once frostbitten. Because after a 200-mile Arctic charity walk, which, first of all, why would you do that for charity? Who organized that?
Yeah, that's very much some white people shit.
Yeah. But Harry says he had to go to William's wedding with a frostbitten, this is a super British phrase, todger?
Okay.
And he said, I was very interested and sympathetic about the discomfort of my frost-nipped ears and cheeks, which Harry wrote. While the ears and cheeks were already healing, the other part wasn't. It was becoming more of an issue by the day. And I don't know why he feels the need he had to share that. But the real kicker is, so Harry did the voice for his own, for his own audiobook. So he also has to read all of this. So when you listen to the audiobook, it's him talking about this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad it's him because I sure as hell wouldn't want to get hired for that job.
No, absolutely not. No, thank you. Couldn't pay me enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, well, I don't want to get into the rest of it.
Yeah, the last part was just that, and he's circumcised. Because for some reason, he decided to say, my penis was a matter of public record and indeed some public curiosity. Why? Why are people so curious about this? Leave it alone.
Like, we don't care if you're circumcised or not, bro. Why do you think we want to know this?
Apparently the British people do.
Oh, God. Like, the British people are bored. Get a hobby. But yeah, so that was a lot. And I will not read his book. I that sounds not like a great time.
No.
I think I'm gonna pass on that one.
I was asking you about this today and you went, like, maybe I should read it first. And I was like, you can tell me about it. I don't want to read it.
Yeah. Currently, so I finished my second book of the year, and both of my books have been sapphic romance novels, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna stay reading those for a while.
They're nice.
So they're both really cute and really well written.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so that was a lot of TMI, Harry, I gotta say, and like I get it, you know, that's a lot, buddy.
Yeah.
And
his book was also leaked too. So when the book was leaked, a lot of people, because it had to be translated from Spanish, they weren't sure if the translations were coming through properly. But it was. Because there's articles being written about it.
Okay. Anyways. But like that is something that you can fully talk about with your wife, your best friend. You know, like you can say to your wife, like, "Hey, yeah, on this thing, I got a frostbitten penis," because that is a conversation between the two of you,
Yeah.
or even your best friends. The world does not need to know that.
No. We're good. We're really good. I'm gonna go scrub my brain after this now.
When I think about TMIs I've gotten at work, so I worked. I don't know if I've told this story before, but I worked at a waxing salon, and like women came in, they get everything to waxed. I got desensitized to people saying saying like, oh, like bikini wax and that. I'm very desensitized to that. I did not know the waxing personally, but because I don't want to see other people naked. I've nothing against nudity. I also just don't like touching strangers.
Fair.
But a woman calls me and she goes, I got to cancel my appointment for tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. Now, she was within the cancellation period. However, if you're sick, this was like after we had just come back from COVID. If you're sick, that we waive the cancellation fee because we're still terrified.
Of course.
Yeah. And she goes, I have a yeast infection. And then she proceeds to tell me about her yeast infection. And I am holding the phone away from here because I do not want to have this conversation with her at all. She could have just said, I'm not feeling well. I think I should stay home. And I would have been like, yeah, no charge. But no, she's going on and on about her yeast infection. And like, I get it. Yeast infection, it's not a fun time.
No.
It's not a fun time at all. And like, if you have a yeast infection, yeah, you should not be coming in, but you do not need to tell me about how itchy you are.
No, the world
And
doesn't need to know.
yeah,
This poor
so,
minimum wage worker does not get paid enough to hear your story.
no. And that's the thing is working at the waxing salon, people would come in and they would almost use their like esthetician as their therapist. And some of the things I would hear, because we had rooms, but they didn't go to the ceiling.
Yeah, it was like curtains.
Yeah. And so I could hear all these conversations and I'd hear some stuff. And like one woman came in, she was a regular, she'd come in all the time. And like she found out her husband was cheating on her. And like she had also just recently gotten pregnant because he lied about having a vasectomy. Oh yeah, like
Whoa!
this woman was like a soap opera in herself.
Yeah, she's going through
Um
it.
yeah, I was like listening. I was like, "Why are you sharing all this with your lady who waxes your vagina?" Like, I see Christy. Christy waxes my eyebrows. I've been friends with Christy for years because we were coworkers. But even I wouldn't share that.
Yeah, like, there are just certain things that you just don't need to share, especially in a
Yeah,
public space.
exactly. And also she had the loudest voice. Like she was very loud. So I'm sure everybody else in the other rooms could hear her.
Everyone's getting the tea today.
Exactly. Yeah, because
Yeah.
he was cheating on her with cam girls.
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough.
And they were already like didn't have a lot of money and he was just sending these women monies. He was just sending these women money when he was like they were complaining like, "Oh, we don't have enough money and how are we going to pay for this new baby?"
I mean, maybe she's just getting her revenge pussy done. You know, prepping it
I-
early.
exactly. No, because she would come in and almost get her full body waxed.
She was ready at all times.
Yeah, she came in like clockwork, got her full body waxed.
That's a
Um
commitment.
Oh yeah, like we had these memberships where like if you came in every 6 weeks, you got your bikini wax cheaper. And she told me that's stupid. Who would sign up for that? She proceeded to sign up for it 10 minutes later.
You know.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if anyone else tells me TMI. Sometimes my coworkers, every once in a while, will tell me something that's a bit TMI, and I sometimes wonder, like, when you start to get friendly with a coworker, and then they tell you something, and you're like, I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah. I one time I had this manager at Starbucks and he was awful. I'll like blatantly say it. I did not like this man. And there was a while where he would come into work and he was like really sick, but he would come in all the time. And he would have like a cough or like he would just be like, "Oh, I have to go sit in the back." And at first I was like, "Okay, he's just sick. That's fine." And other times I'd literally see him on his phone in the back and I'm like, "Okay, how sick can you be?" But he was like for a while he was like really sick. And one time he decided that it was okay because we had this customer who was a regular, who was a nurse, because we worked really close to like a children's hospital and like another hospital. So she was a nurse. And, he started talking to her and he goes like, "Oh, like, I've just been like feeling like really under the weather." And she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Like, what's wrong?" And then he just decided to overshare every single one of his symptoms he has had over the last like 2 months. And he's like, "Yeah, like I've been going to the bathroom like crazy. Like I really can't hold down any food. I feel like sweaty and clammy. Like just like any kind of gross thing." And the Starbucks I worked at was like small and he was doing it in front of the entire store by the cash register. So every customer would have to overhear about how sick our manager is and is still coming into work
And serving food.
and serving food. Like
Yeah.
when I was working, I refused. I was like, I almost said his name. I'm not gonna say his name. I was like, dude, you need to stay as far away from like the espresso bar and like everything as possible. Like, I do not want you touching things, especially if you're gonna like, if you are claiming you are as sick as you are, like, absolutely not. One time I was working with him and he did throw up. He got sick at work and I was like, you can leave. Go home. I don't care if I'm short staffed. I'm not dealing with you. But the fact that he just felt so comfortable to talk to this lady, but like, like I understand, like, and I feel nurses probably get that all the time, and I bless this woman. Still not okay. Like, you don't do that. You really don't do that.
No.
No.
No, it reminds me of that when we were trying to sit better on my chair. It reminds me of when we were in Florida, we would go out partying, and friends would make out with friends.
Yeah, as one does.
But mono got spread around.
As it tends to happen when everyone's making out with everyone. Yeah.
And when I worked in the restaurant, a bunch of people got mono, and I figured out who the spreader was. Because mono affects, if you get mono, I believe you can't get it again.
I don't know. I think you can. Okay. But again, we're not doctors.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a nurse. And our managers are like, why is everyone sick? How is everyone getting mono? And I'm like, well, you see, somebody wanted to make out with every single person in the restaurant as their goal. And they were very much succeeding. They got me and they got Amy. So I'm surprised neither of us got mono.
Yeah, shockingly.
Yeah. Either we've had it, or we missed it, or we missed the incubation time.
Yeah, or whoever had like the bug.
Yeah.
They kissed them after kissing us. So thank you.
Yeah.
Man, I would have cried because that would have probably been like one of my first kisses too. And I would have been like, man, I can't believe I got mono. But anyway, besides the point.
But like, people were talking, but like, it's your managers are asking, I don't know how it got spread around, and you're like,
yeah, I don't know.
Crazy. I'm gonna keep that information to myself, like I should.
Yeah. We don't want to snitch.
Yeah, because so we were watching the show, The Sex Lives of College Girls. Great show, gotta watch it. So
I think I know you're going.
Yeah, one of the characters, Leighton, she's a newly out lesbian. Well, she's been like dating girls, but now she's like fully out. So she starts living her life and hooking up with as many girls as possible.
Oh yeah, she's like sleeping the entire school at one point.
Yeah, and then she gets chlamydia. And she was like, well, first of all, no, I'm not going to get into
Don't
it.
Get
yourself checked. But there's two funny things about it. One, she's going around and her roommates are asking her, and she's like, I'm not going to share my chlamydia symptoms with you. And then if you get chlamydia, you're supposed to tell your sexual partners. If you get an STI, you're supposed to tell them. And the one girl starts screaming at her that she gave it. And she's like, well, whoever gave it to me didn't tell. That's when, unfortunately, it's not TMI. You have to share this.
Yes, that is the one occasion that you always have to share, because sharing is very much caring in that situation.
But the funny irony is so the show has 4 main characters. There are 4 roommates. One of the girls is played by Pauline Chalamet, which is Timothy Chalamet's sister. Now, I have learned some very interesting TMIs about celebrities, but one is that Timothy Chalamet gave chlamydia to a good population of NYU.
Yep, that he did.
And that's something that, like, you probably you do need to tell people you gave you chlamydia, but that's probably something you don't want people to think about when they think of, famous actor Timothy Chalamet, who famously gave chlamydia.
So do you think that Mindy Kaling 100% stole that storyline? Because
I mean, absolutely she did.
I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad because it was funny. But yeah.
So I looked up, I was like, what's a couple other celebrity TMIs? Um, and one of them is Chrissy Teigen. This one calls her a TMI machine. John and I had a double date, and we were joking around, and I go, John's never seen my butthole. And John says, are you kidding? Every time anyone does anything doggy style, you see a butthole. I see it every time. I was like, we're never doing it doggy style again. Girl, why the hell would you say that in a Mary Claire interview?
Mary Claire!
In a Mary Claire interview. What was
Grandma's
the purpose of that?
Grandmas read that. Come on, Chrissy. Jeez.
Yeah. Or, oh, where was the other one? No, I don't want to read that one out loud. Oh God, I don't want to read that one out loud.
All right, so I felt.
Yeah. Or how about? No, actually, no, I don't want to read that one out loud.
Okay.
A lot of these are so. Oh my goodness. Okay. So here's one. So Jane Fonda is one of my favorite people.
Mm-hmm.
Never let it be said that Jane Fonda does not prepare for a role. For season 3 of Grace and Frankie, during which her character and Lily Tomlin start a vibrator biz for older women, Fonda was only too happy to try out the wares. No stranger to sex toys, she said she also keeps one that looks like a piece of jewelry around her neck, in case she gets a sudden urge while out on the town.
Oh, I've seen that.
Like, I mean,
I've seen that. That's okay. That's not that weird to me. That's not that weird, but
Yeah.
maybe it's because I've become so desensitized to seeing people on TikTok talk about them.
yes, so people on TikTok, there is this lady who I think it's called Bon Jabon.
Oh, yeah. She's like, I can't talk about my store because TikTok hates me.
Yeah, but she used like nipple claps to pin
Oh.
back her hair while she
Yeah.
was doing her makeup, but she was like, this actually works really well.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. No, but people on TikTok very much get into the TMI. Like, so we all know hot girls have stomach issues.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
And then
Brittany Broski's favorite place to record a TikTok is the toilet.
the toilet. Yeah.
I love
and
you, Brittany, but
like girls are always talking about their poops. Because I feel like there's two types of women on TikTok who talk about their stomach issues. They talk about how to heal your gut, get rid of parasites and all that holistic crap.
Mhm.
And then you have this girl. So I just took a massive shit today.
She's like, I feel like my soul left my body.
Or there's this apps where me and my friends track our poops.
Yeah. Or have you seen like the friendship buttholes? You seen those?
What?
You not seen those?
I don't think
Oh
I have
my
seen
God,
the friendship buttholes.
We're getting really off track, but this is also probably TMI. There is a
It's
lady.
100% Amy. This is on track.
There is a lady on TikTok who makes they're like charms, but they're butthole charms. So one of them I saw she made. Two friends were like nurses, so she made two little circular booty holes with a little like stethoscope. And there was another one she did where one friend was like a Yeti and the other friend was a Sasquatch. And I don't know if this lady is real or not. I refuse to click on her page because I don't want to dig too deep.
Oh,
I would have swore that you'd seen the
no, TikTok is dangerous. You wait, even if you watch one video a little too long, they're like, yes, you need to see more. Like, I apparently know I'm on Montessori method for child rearing. Because I was watching a video and I was like, why is that child in a sad beige room?
Yeah, I was like being on Sister Wives TikTok for a while, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I've never watched this show. I don't plan on it, but fuck Cody. Like,
Yeah.
fuck this man.
No, I think, yeah, very much you can be TMI with your friends and your partners, but maybe like save it. I mean, like, and then, but there's also boundaries. There's also TMI boundaries with your friends and your partners.
Well, of
Like,
course.
I'm safe to say, I've never shown Amy my butthole.
Yeah, and I really don't want to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
I
sure it's
mean,
great, but like,
yeah. I mean, when I worked at the waxing salon, my boss saw my butthole, but that was just business as usual.
that's just that's just a day in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the TMI things, like I had my like coworkers have ever told me, I've just completely blocked out. Cause like trying to think about them, I'm like, I don't think a coworker ever has, but there's no way that a coworker has never not told me. It's just more like I've blocked it out, minus the one lady who told me that she, when we were working at the theme park, she told me we had this like replica of a famous hotel. And she was like, "Oh, is this like the so and so hotel?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, it is." And she's like, "Oh, that's so lovely. Me and my husband honeymooned there, and that's where I consummated our kid." And I was like, "Lovely. Have a great day." Like, what?
Thanks.
Complete stranger, and now you've ruined my life.
Yeah.
Because that's all I can think about now when I
Yeah.
look at that building. Oh, thanks, random lady from South
Oh,
Africa.
yeah. Good to know.
Yeah, great to know.
Yeah. Well, one thing I find is no, it would be where they conceived their child. So it's
Conceive.
consummated the
What's
relationship, conceived the child.
well, I don't know. She said consummated, so
Okay. Because so Bryce Dallas Howard.
yes.
Her middle name is Dallas is cuz that's where she was conceived.
Why do parents?
Because Ron Howard did that for all of his children.
Ron Howard, you nasty person.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
Exactly. Like why? Why would you do that to your kids?
No thanks.
But
I mean, if you're
celebrities
stuck
name
for a middle
should
name, I guess, but
yeah. But she goes by Bryce Dallas Howard.
you know, ugh. Yeah, I got nothing to
Yeah.
say to that.
Yeah. No, I mean, celebrities are weird. Like they will always overshare, but
Celebrities,
I'm
they're just like us. They
they're just,
overshare.
they just like us. They put eggs up their vaginas.
Oh God, no. Another
No, we're
thing.
not getting into her.
No.
Yeah. So, but yeah, sometimes it's good to think about something and you're like, should the internet know this? Maybe not. Should my friends and coworkers know this? Maybe not. I mean, sometimes it's good to have a little bit of mystery.
Yeah, it keeps things interesting.
Yeah. Like my future mother-in-law, she listens to this episode. She's going to hear me say butthole how many times?
Yeah, it's not like it's a bad word.
Yeah, no, it's just a butthole.
Oh, moral of the story, know your audience.
Yeah.
And Megan, you should have read the book before you let your husband
Yeah.
publish it. My God.
Yeah. The other moral of the story is not every thought needs to be said out loud.
Mm-hmm. Or a little butthole never hurt no one.
Oh God. Amy's gonna make a counter for how many times we say it.
God. Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see how much time she has to edit.
Yeah, we'll see.
But thank you
Butthole
so much.
counter. Right above.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning into this ridiculous episode. Did we share too much? Did we share not enough? Please let us know.
Yeah, go into the new year a little crazy. That's fine.
Exactly. Cuz my goal for 2022 was my silly one was every party had to be a theme. Every party had to have a theme. I think 2023 life's too short to be serious. Let's just be a little ridiculous.
Yeah. I did not make any resolutions this year just because I can already tell with like personal things. This year's gonna be like really crazy. So, but I'm just like, I'm taking it like day by day. I'm like, I just need to like stretch. That's my big one for the year. And just try to be, I want to be like more organized digitally. That's my goal. Those are like my 2 goals, just to make myself like organized, like digitally. Because those are like long-term goals. It's not like I want to do something by like this point.
Exactly. Sounds good. But do you have speaking of butts, Amy, before we do the outro, would you like to share TMI? Or would you prefer to keep it inside?
I'm gonna keep it inside. The only TMI I can think of is 2 TMI, and I'm not putting it on the internet. Nope, 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 nope. Nope. I already talked about a TMI earlier that's not even that bad, so go. I'll have to go re-listen to figure out where it is. Did you want to share with the class?
Share something with the class? You know, maybe I'll hold on to that. I'll hold on to it for a further episode.
Punch it real good.
Yeah.
All right, too easy.
Yeah.
It's too easy to make a butt joke.
All right, just give the outro, you big butt.
Thank you. All right, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. We're excited to be back for the new year. Got lots more content coming your way. So you can find us over on Twitter at CYTMS Podcast and on Instagram and Facebook at Can You Take My Shift. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, wherever you can find podcasts, you can find our lovely voices. You can also find us over at YouTube at Can You Take My Shift. And if you listen to us over there, or I guess if you watch these videos, make sure you give the videos a like. Drop a comment if you feel like it, and make sure you're subscribed because we put the episodes up after the week after they've been recorded. You can find Kelsey at Kelsey Peets on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch. Are you still at TikTok, Kelsey Peets? Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me, Kelsey Peets, everywhere.
Let's go. And you can find me at Jelly Amy on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. And TikTok, but I don't really post there, so that's fine. But until next time, Kelsey, can you take my shift?
No, I really have to poop. Like, I haven't pooped in 3 weeks. I think there's something wrong with me. Should I see a doctor?
Please. Good Lord.
I'm just kidding.
The
I
bidet
poop regularly, thank you.
Is the bidet not working?
Oh no, it works great.
Okay, good.
Best $50 USD Trevor's ever spent.
Thanks, Ludwig.
Yeah.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.